Debaye Kalemonu, welcome to tonight's broadcast, Igbo Global Network. I'm going to be hosting tonight's broadcast for you with my team. I have Barrister Nyekwe with my team here, the board of directors of Igbo Global Network, as well as Mazi Fanyonwami, who will be joining us later on. I'm Tony Wincy. I'm going to be hosting tonight. Welcome to Igbo Global Network, our end of year broadcast and press conference, where we would be talking to you about Igbo Global Network, our perspective on what's going on at Igbo, as well as taking questions from you. And so you can call in to the studio by calling the number +1 202 787 8909. We're broadcasting from Washington, D.C. tonight. You can call in WhatsApp number +1 202 787 8909. And with that, we can take your calls and take your questions. We're streaming live on social media on Facebook at Facebook.com/Igbo Global Network, YouTube.com/Igbo Global Network, on Twitter /Igbo Global Net. So we are on social media, and then we are also streaming on about 50 platforms, Igbo platforms, including Ohaneze, including Igbo Global Network, including um, Igbo Town Hall, and several other platforms. So tonight is it's a major night for us, so we expect to hit a huge audience today. So I want to invite you to join this conversation by coming with your questions, with your remarks. We appreciate your questions. We appreciate your remarks. It's going to be an interactive session we're going to have tonight. And by the way, let me wish all of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year in advance. I hope to come back to you with a Christmas message and a New Year message also. But this is our end of year broadcast where we'll talk to you about um, our perspective of what's happened in our Igbo. And why we're in this contraption called Nigeria. So they will, then when our fathers and mothers, I greet you all with the utmost respect and love. I greet you from our studios in Washington, D.C., and also with my team here. So I have prepared remarks. I'm going to read my prepared remarks, and at the end of it, I'm going to invite our Director of Legal, Mazi uh, Chukwumani, who will have some remarks for us, and also Mazi Fayo Onwamizu would also have his remarks. He's one of our directors, and then at the end of that, we're going to go on Q&A. So if you have questions for us, please call in 30 minutes. You can call +1 202 787 8909. +1 202 787 8909. We also have some of our team members in the studio who also will be taking your calls and taking questions on from our social media handles, questions and comments from social media handles. Our team members will be reading those out to us as this broadcast goes on. So please join us and participate in the middle of your turkey and your Christmas dinner and Christmas celebrations. I hope you're all having a great time preparing for the Christmas. And so, thank you, Tony Wincy. And here is my prepared remarks. To my brothers and sisters in Igbo land, a declaration of our unalienable rights. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men were created equal, that they were endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Yet, for far too long, these basic tenets have been denied to us, the sons and daughters of Igbo land. From the shackles of 1914 amalgamation, a forced union that yoked us to a system rife with inequality, to the unhealed wounds of 1967 genocide, where our blood-stained earth in a horrific quest for domination. Ndị Igbo have walked a path paved with struggle. We have walked a path paved with struggle. The scars of these injustices run deep, etched not only upon our land, but upon our souls. Even now, the ghost of marginalization lingers. The 1999 Constitution, a document conceived in darkness, remains a testament to the persistent disregard for Igbo aspirations. And the ongoing abduction of our brother Mazi Nnamdi Kanu stands as a stark symbol of the ongoing fight for self-determination, a fight stifled not just by external forces, but by the deafening silence of those who claim to represent us. Our politicians and Ohaneze, their silence has been deafening. Where are the voices of our politicians, of Ohaneze, when darkness descended upon our Igbo? Too often, their silence echoed louder than any protest. Their pursuit of personal gain outweighing the collective good. They have forgotten the sacred trust bestowed upon them, the responsibility to serve the interests of our people, to ensure the security and prosperity of our ancestral land. That is their duty. That is their sacred duty. Igbo interest above all. In this Alibo, it is the Alibo we dream of, a land where mothers cradle their children in fear, where businesses lay in ruins from the ashes of Lagos, where the very air we breathe feels heavy with the weight of unfulfilled promises. No, my brothers and sisters, this is not the destiny we are meant for. This is not the destiny of Ndibo. This is not the destiny of Ndibo. But within the darkness, a flicker of defiance burns. We, the sons and daughters of Ndibo, of our Igbo, the descendants of kings and warriors, can no longer stand idly by. We must rise up like the proverbial phoenix from the ashes of neglect and betrayal. We must demand accountability, not with the weapons of violence, but with the unyielding force of our collective voice. We must use our voice. We must use our voice. We must use our voice. We must demand accountability, not with weapons of violence, but with the unyielding force of our collective voice. It's a challenge for every Igbo man or woman. To our politicians, I say this: your titles are not badges of honor, but reminders of your sacred duty. Serve the people, not yourselves. To our politicians, I say this: your titles are not badges of honor, but reminders of your sacred duty. Your duty is to serve our people, protect life and property of Ndibo, not to serve yourselves. Your duty is to fight for our rights, not your pockets. Let your voices be the thundering roar of Ndibo, not the whispers of self-interest. For so long, you have pursued self-interest instead of Igbo interest. We challenge you to put aside self-interest and pursue Igbo interest. And if your presence within the house of power is meaningless, then it's time to walk out. It is time to walk out of National Assembly in protest, and let your absence be the deafening protest against a system that marginalizes us. We cannot continue like this. We cannot continue like this. If the politicians are not speaking up, if the Ohaneze is not speaking up, then we have to do something about it. But the politicians, what you can do is walk out of National Assembly. The voice of Ndibo must be heard within Nigeria. You cannot stay there while Ndibo are marginalized, and you stay there and you pursue your selfish interests and not the interests of Ndibo. If they will not hear you, if Nigeria will not hear you, we say to you, Igbo politicians, it's time to walk out of National Assembly. And to my fellow people, I say this: we are not powerless. We are the Igbo, the indomitable spirit that lives and thrives in the face of adversity. We must hold our leaders accountable, not with blind praise, but with critical engagement and unwavering protest. Let the streets of our towns and villages echo with the demands for justice, for prosperity, for self-determination. This is our sacred duty also. Just as the politicians have a duty, you and I have a duty. We'll have a duty to make sure they hear our voice. We'll have a duty to make sure that we protest. We'll have a duty to make sure that we'll tell them what to do. And what they must do is walk out of National Assembly. If the voice of Ndibo is not heard, the politicians must walk out of National Assembly, and all of us must lift our voice to declare that. Remember Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, our brother, unjustly held captive. His sacrifice must not be in vain. Let his voice, echoing through the bars of his cell, be a rallying cry for our collective liberation. Nnamdi Kanu is an innocent man. Nnamdi Kanu has not committed any crime anywhere in the world. Nnamdi Kanu is an Igbo patriot. Nnamdi Kanu is an Igbo son. Nnamdi Kanu is fighting for you and I. We must not, we cannot, we must not forget Nnamdi Kanu. It is our duty, our sacred duty, of the sacred duty of every Igbo man or woman to lift their voice in protest, demanding that Nnamdi Kanu be released. We don't ask, we don't beg, we don't plead, we don't kneel, we demand. Our duty is to demand the release of Nnamdi Kanu. Ohaneze must rise up to their duty, our politicians must rise up to their duty, and it is their duty to demand the freedom of Nnamdi Kanu. Writing letter is not good enough. Begging is not good enough. It is time to demand the release of Nnamdi Kanu, because Nnamdi Kanu has not committed any offense anywhere in the world. Nnamdi Kanu is held down because he's an Igbo man. Full stop. There is no other reason why Nnamdi Kanu is held down. Nnamdi Kanu is incarcerated, was kidnapped because he's an Igbo man. And all of us, 70 million of us, cannot keep quiet while Nnamdi Kanu, the right to life, liberty, and personal happiness is deprived of him. It is our sacred duty to speak for him, because he cannot speak for himself now. Nnamdi Kanu spoke for all of us, for the widows, for our youth, for our fathers. Nnamdi Kanu fought for all of us, and now he's being detained. It is our duty, the sacred duty of every Igbo man, every Igbo woman, all over the world, to speak up for Nnamdi Kanu. It is time to speak up, and every Igbo man or woman who is not speaking up, who is not demanding for his release, is clearly a coward or a traitor. It is time to speak up for Nnamdi Kanu. My brothers and sisters, the path ahead may be fraught with challenges, but remember, we are not alone. We are the sons and daughters of Ezinri, the descendants of warriors who carved empires from the earth. We are the spirits of Okonkwo, the resilience of Njoku, the unyielding strength of Uwani. Let us rise together, united in purpose, and reclaim our rightful place in the sun. Let the world know that the Igbo spirit cannot be broken, that our voices will rise above the din of injustice, and that our future will be forged not in servitude, but in self-determination. From the Scotch fields of the north to the bustling markets of the east, from these ancient villages to the sprawling cities, let the cry ring out, Alibo Gadimma, and let it be known by all who oppose us that we, the sons and daughters of Ndibo, of our Igbo, will not rest until we have secured our unalienable rights, until liberty and justice truly reign in our land, until we can once again declare with unwavering conviction that we hold these truths, that all men were created equal and endowed by their maker certain inalienable rights, among which is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Nnamdi Kanu deserves life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Every Igbo man deserves life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we must demand it. We're not going to beg, we're not going to ask, we're not going to crawl. We must demand it. It is his right, will demand his right, it must be given to him. And that is my message to you today. My name is Tony Wese, Igbo Global Network. Day one. And Merry Christmas to our people. And now I invite my brother, Pastor Chukwuma Anyekwe, to give his remarks. Pastor Anyekwe, you have the microphone, sir.
Yes, Convener. Thank you very much. Thank you for your wonderful speech. Thank you because you spoke like a true Igbo man, and your words lifted the spirit of every man and woman of Igbo extraction, wherever they may be. You have said it all, and I will not start going back to repeat what you have said. But what is important is that you say that the time is now, because the time is now, and you are right. This is the time to quicken the spirit of Ndibo. This is the time to remove all veils of false consciousness, which they have been using to keep us in perpetual slavery. We cannot continue to keep quiet, as you said, because keeping quiet is validating or reinforcing our own subjugation. And the subjugation of the Igbos that started even before 1994. It started from the era of slavery to 1914, sorry. The era of slavery and 1914, they were just a continuation of the same dominant white supremacist interest. They just changed slavery and labeled it another thing. And up to today, the Igbos are still grappling with the same thing. What are we grappling with, as you said? I don't want to go far. I don't want to speak more. It may be hard. It may be very sad to hear. We're not just grappling about politicians alone, government alone, and all those things. What we are grappling with slavery. The earlier we understand it, the better. We are grappling with slavery because what they used to keep us in Nigeria and what they used to drive our life in Nigeria is the templates they lifted from the way they controlled and sustained slave plantation. It is high time that we should start exposing it, because the more we are denying our situation, or the more we are trying to paint our situation, or the more we are trying to glamorize our adverse situation, the more we are sinking deep inside it. So the best thing is to add to what the Convener have said, is that we are grappling with slavery. And just the same way the slaves inside the slave plantation did not give up, did not succumb, did not familiarize themselves with tragedy. If this is the time for us to wake up, not to familiarize ourselves with tragedy. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu came to wake us up as our consciousness raiser. And that is why they are still keeping him up to today. Because in the slave plantation, any person that will want to play the role of a consciousness raiser among the slaves, they will always put the person down. So in the Igbo, we have to say no. We are not propagating violence, but we are propagating Akonuche. Akonuche is what will take us out of this false consciousness, because we have been living in false consciousness. The false consciousness of one Nigeria, the false consciousness of one day they are going to have mercy upon us, the false consciousness of we are going to develop an Igbo or invest in an Igbo, without minding that they have used the imposed constitution and the political framework to keep us in shackles. We cannot do anything. We cannot do anything unless we start asking the right questions, the why question. Why are we like this? Let us not be carried away by individual success. Individual success cannot conceal collective subjugation of a people. Even during the slave plantation, a lot of slaves succeeded on their own individual level based on the limitation that was placed on them by the masters. So individual success do not mean anything. It should not deceive us. It is because of our collective interest that will make us to realize that if we keep quiet about the condition of Nnamdi Kanu, it symbolizes the subjugation of the whole Igbos. Because Nnamdi Kanu did nothing wrong. It is within his right to demand for the self-determination of his people. Let us not make any mistake about it. Demanding for self-determination is not a crime. Especially when there's no internal self-determination in Nigeria. If there's no internal self-determination in Nigeria, it will trigger the rights of the oppressed people for the remedy of external self-determination. So it's not Nnamdi Kanu or anybody that pushed for external self-determination. It is Nigeria that deprived the Igbos their right of internal self-determination through the operationalization of the constitutional and political framework of Nigeria. So Nnamdi Kanu did nothing wrong. If Nnamdi Kanu did something wrong, why should there be self-determination in Kosovo? This is the type of questions we should be asking ourselves. I don't want to speak more because the convener have laid down everything. But we should be asking ourselves this question. How can we thrive in the midst of slavery? How can we thrive in the midst of apartheid system? We cannot thrive in the midst of apartheid system. Apartheid system, you cannot only say apartheid system when it involves people of different races. Apartheid can still be applied when it involves people of different ethnic groups. Any person who want to doubt it should go and look at the Convention on the Suppression of Apartheid and see that it encompasses even this type of situation that we are facing as Igbos in Nigeria. Let us stop denying. This is the time to wake up. The time is now. We should continue to demand for the release of our brother Nnamdi Kanu. We should continue to demand for our politicians. If they cannot question why they should put 68 items in the exclusive list that will stifle our ability to become our own critical development actors, they should walk out from the National Assembly. Because with that exclusive list, we can never develop. With that exclusive list, we will continue to be object of extractions in Nigeria. They will push us to the north, push us to the west, push us to the east, push us anywhere. And we'll be struggling and be generating internal generated revenue for them. And anytime they like, they can demolish all our properties. Because all the powers is rooted in that imposed framework. That is why I will come back again to tell. This is the time for us to say no to this modern slavery, to say no to this modern apartheid. We must rise up and start speaking. Let us stop reinforcing our own subjugation. Let us stop keeping quiet when our future generation, our existential interest is being destroyed. We should get up, both man, both woman, both boys, both girls. This is not the time to start checking on whether a group of people are very educated or not educated. We are all Igbo people. This is the time to come together, irrespective of our social usefulness, to start demanding that we should take our rights for self-determination. If Nigeria cannot grant us our right to self-determination, as they have demonstrated, by excluding us when they want to make the constitution, by excluding us when they want to determine the number of states, by excluding us when they want to determine the number of local governments, which they are still using for the revenue allocation. What can we do? We must speak out to the world for the world to hear us. We are not going to embark on any violent adventure, but we should speak out. We should stop feeling ashamed to speak out. We should stop feeling ashamed to come together to speak in one voice. Oppressed people should not feel comfortable in the oppression unless they will familiarize themselves with tragedy, and unless they will be indicating to the whole world that they deserve what is happening to them. So let me ask, are we saying that Igbos deserve what is happening to us? The answer is no. We do not deserve it. But if what we are doing is opposite to what we are saying, the people that are treating us, that are putting us down, will be smiling and be saying that we deserve it. But if our word is matched with our action by saying that we don't deserve it, I think they will know that we are now serious. So in the word of the convener, let me end by saying, this is the time to come together. This is the time to start saying no to the slave plantation. This is the time to start saying no, that we are not subhuman beings. This is the time to start saying no, by saying that what is good for the Kosovo people, what is good for the Albanians, what is good for the white people in similar situations is good for the Igbos who are in the same situation. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Indigo. This is the time to wake up. This is the time to rise and demand for our rights as human beings. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Barrister Aniekwe. I love the way you defined it clearly, that this is a continuation of slavery. And it's important that our people understand that this is exactly what's going on, that people are just playing with words. They are playing with words. You might think you have freedom, but you do not have. What you actually have is a qualified freedom, which is equivalent to slavery. And it is time, like you said, for us to define exactly what we are and call it what it is. My mother used to say, call a spade, and use it as a shovel. Because in the midst of calling it a wonderful name called a spade, you might forget what it is. It is a shovel, and it's used for shoveling stuff. So where we are now as a people, now Igbo, is equivalent to slavery. And I do not understand for the life of me how our politicians, how Ohaneze Igbo, how our elders, or how any grown Igbo man or woman can be content with slavery. It is not in our nature. It is not in our value system. So I do not understand why our people are content with this. And then you now have, but let me ask you first of all, the laziness, the apathy of our politicians. What do you think is the cause of that? Why are they so apathetic to our situation?
No, thank you, Convener. You see, before we look at the politicians, we should first of all be frank enough to ask ourselves, what is the source of the legitimacy of these politicians? Is the source of their legitimacy from our people or from external people? And why? My view is that the source of it is very clear. It's not even my view. The source of the legitimacy of the politicians is not from our people. And these politicians, that's why we have to hold them accountable. To know that even if people from outside put them there, why do they put them there? They put them there so that they will become officially, they will create the optics that they are our people. But in reality, they are not our people. They will not be serving our interest. So we have to counter that external force that put them by holding them accountable and by being clear about what we want them to do. Like those who are in the ostensible National Assembly, we should be clear to them that all the items that reduce us to be perpetually dependent on outsiders should be removed from exclusive list. If they don't want to speak about it, it's either they stay there or they should not come back. We're not threatening them. But when we mobilize our mental energy to tell them that we know what they are doing, then we become uncomfortable. Because what they are doing is tied together with the issue of rigging election and violence that used to follow the so-called democracy, which I call facade of democracy. Because they use that rigging of election to deprive the people from being the source of legitimacy of those that will represent them. And when the people are not the source of their legitimacy, the people that they pick up, they just impose on our people, will be dancing to their tune. They will not even mention the challenges facing our people.
Yeah.
Let me just add, it is the same thing that happened in the slave plantation. Because my analysis here, that's why I'm focusing in the slave plantation. That's what we call the Willie Leach template in controlling the slave plantation. What Willie Leach prescribed for the slave owners, especially for the King of England, was that you mix people together, you pick some people, especially those who are not very, very skillful among the slaves, and make them to be the leaders, so that they will perpetually owe their allegiance to those that gave them such position. This is what is happening in Igbo land.
Yeah.
And this is why we have to hold them accountable, not only to hold them accountable, to stand firm, to call them out, to deconstruct them, and deconstruct their source of their legitimacy, so that the whole world can hear us. I hope I answered your question.
Absolutely, absolutely. You talk about 68 items in the exclusive list, but beyond the 68 items in the exclusive list, the very Constitution itself, the very 1999 Constitution itself, was never ratified by Nigerians in a referendum or a plebiscite. Nigerians did not write that Constitution. That Constitution was written by a few men and women who crafted that Constitution, protecting the interests they want to protect, because the way a Constitution is done is a group of people write the Constitution and then they present it to the people in a referendum or a plebiscite, and the people will decide. But the 1999 Constitution was never presented to Nigerians in a referendum or plebiscite. So its legitimacy itself is still a matter of court hearing. It's still a matter for the courts before you even start talking about 68 items on the exclusive list.
You see, thank you, Convener. You see, one thing is this. That's why I used to say that there's different layers of the conspiracy, just like the different layers of authority in the slave plantation.
Yeah.
The 1999 Constitution was against the UN guidelines on constitutional making, and nobody wants to say anything about it. Even some Igbo leaders, even Ohaneze. The second guideline on constitutional making is very, very clear. This is a guideline that used to give effect to the prescription of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. So that the people living in a particular community, different people, different ethnic nations, will come together to decide a constitution that will guide their life. And in deciding that constitution, they will now create the provisions of the constitution and put in any place that where they find it fit, they will put the inbuilt safeguards. But what they did in the 1999 Constitution is that they went against the UN guidelines. It was the 1999 Constitution that they're supposed to give effect to internal self-determination, so that they can now fulfill their obligation that will make the people not to demand for external self-determination.
Right.
So they use the 1999 Constitution to do what? to create a framework to entrench slavery. It was the same pattern of during the apartheid. The apartheid system in South Africa imposed the constitution on the people they regarded as subhuman beings. Any group of people that regard other people as subhuman beings, we exclude them in the making of their constitution. This is evidence. This is the evidence, and it shows that they want to dominate those people, and it shows that those people, they want to keep them as perpetual slaves.
Yeah.
Because if they perceive them to be equal, why can't they have the same equal participation in the making of the constitution?
Yeah.
So it is very, very clear. Ohanese cannot like to say it. The Protestant will not like to say it, but we have to mobilize the Igbos now, remove the veil of false consciousness, and start telling them, showing them where the problem comes from, and what every type of problem represent to the life of Igbo people. They use the same constitution to stifle us from touching our own natural extractive resources.
Yeah.
Because they want to determine the extent of our economic advancement.
Yeah.
They use the same constitution to gerrymander Igbos across anywhere they want to put them. They will gerrymander them there, which means that they regard the Igbos as mere objects, mere vassals that they own.
Yeah.
Using the pyramid of oppression, the slave masters are staying in England, violent proxies are staying in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Just like during the apartheid system in South Africa, the slave masters are staying in England and staying in Washington, D.C., but the overseers of the plantation were staying in South Africa.
Yeah.
This is what is happening.
Yeah.
So it's not that they don't know what they are doing. They knew exactly what they want to achieve. What they want to achieve is alien subjugation. They subjugate the Igbos, they exploit the Igbos, and oppress the Igbos.
Yes.
Even if the Igbos contribute money and want to build their own infrastructures to propel their own development, they cannot do it, because in the exclusive list, they don't allow you to do it.
You know, this is a good place to address some of our brothers who think that what Igbo Global Network, that the Igbo Global Network should be focusing on development of our Igbo, electrification of our Igbo, building wells, building roads, and all of that. But do not understand that the 68 items in the exclusive list tie your hands. Now, even if they do not tie your hands, of what use is your development effort when your personal liberty, your right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which is endowed to you by your maker and not by man or by any government, your fundamental human rights, if your fundamental human rights are deprived of you, of what use is it going to build those and build this and that? Because our people have built houses in Lagos and the houses were destroyed and nothing happened. Our people have built businesses in Lagos and their businesses were destroyed during this last election, during the Civil War, 1967, 1970. Our homes were taken, our houses were taken, our money was taken from the bank, and everybody was giving 20 naira, you know, and saying 20 pounds and saying no victor, no vanquished. So the fundamental issue is still there. It's like leaving the roots of the matter and going after the fruits. So what is your message to our people who are keep talking about working with politicians and doing development and building this and building, but who are not talking about their basic civil liberties, like the liberties of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and the liberties of Chukwuma, Ugochukwu, Ikechukwu, Obiora, Nneka, and so on and so forth.
You see, when people are oppressed, the greatest instrument of the oppressor, as I said earlier, is to put them with the veil of false consciousness. Somebody can be educated, somebody can have a lot of ascribed or achieved titles, but still the person is trapped with the veil of false consciousness. That is why our people do not know that without right to self-determination, that is the foundation of everything. Okay, as you mentioned now, they are destroying the houses of Igbos in Lagos. And they have been destroying it every time. See, question people don't ask is this. Government is a continuum. If government is a continuum, where was the government of Lagos State when some people sold the land to the Igbos and the Igbos were building there? They did not build, the house did not spring up like a miracle. The government was there looking at them. And there was exchange of values between the Igbos, from the Igbos to the Yorubas that sold the land to them. So what is happening now is that they will use the instrument of government to empower their people by allowing Igbos to transfer a value to them. After collecting the value, they use the instrument of government to take the property back from them. And our people, some of our people don't want to understand what is happening. What is happening? They are trying to show us that they own us. Because how do they own us? They own us. Where do they derive the power of the power to destroy our properties? They derive the power to destroy our properties anyhow they like from the same imposed constitution. And why did they impose the constitution? They deprive us of our rights in participating to make the same constitution. And not only that, they deprive us of our rights of creating the conducive human environment to thrive. So they use the same policies to force our people to come to Lagos. When you come to Lagos, you use your own sweat to develop the place, to buy land there, and the government will now come and demolish it. If they demolish the properties, they will not arrest the people that sold the land to you, because the people that sold the land to you are their own people. And it is not happening only in Lagos. Let me expand it a bit. They are violating our rights everywhere. It's not about the same way. It's not about owning parties or being a graduate or anything. When you do not have your human rights, you cannot have your dignity. What they are violating is that they are violating the right of the Igbos, especially their right to dignity, by destroying their properties. Do you know what they're achieving with that? That is one of the reasons that make a lot of people to deny their identities as Igbos. They will deny their identities as Igbos because they know that to accept to be Igbo means that we are accepting yourself to be derided, to be treated with infradig, to lose your property, not to have access to justice. But that is how they do it. Just like Nnamdi Kanu. What are they doing? They deprived Nnamdi Kanu of access to justice. Even if when they take him to court, when you look at the pronouncements from the court, you know that the courts, they were just acting as mere justificatory institutions of the oppressive social order. Even we can say that even the apartheid courts are better than what is coming out from the court. Look at what the Supreme Court said. How can the Supreme Court say that somebody that was captured, tortured, and brought before the court should be returned to the should be tried in the court of competent jurisdiction? How can the person be fit and proper before any court? How can a government participate in crime against humanity? And the Supreme Court want the government to benefit from the crime from the same crime against humanity. All those things will point out to one thing. If our people participated in the constitutional making, that's what we call the background discussion that lead to the provisions of the Constitution, which is equivalent to the Trevors preparatories in the interpretation of international treaty. If our people participated in the making of the Constitution before the Supreme Court we make any judgment, they will look at what the people discussed pertaining that provision. But now everything was imposed. Even the Constitution, even the courts, they can say anything they like tomorrow. They can say anything they like the next tomorrow. For example, look at the 25% in Abuja. If there was a background discussion leading to the provision of 25%, the Supreme Court will be bound to follow that background discussion. But what they are doing is that there are different tiers of justice in Nigeria. There's different tiers of justice for the Igbos. There are different tiers of justice for the Yoruba. There are different types of justice for the Fulani. There are different tiers of justice for Nnamdi Kanu. There are different tiers of justice for Sunday Igboho. There are different tiers of justice for the Fulani people that are massacring people, raping people, mutilating the anatomy of women. And the politician cannot say anything because their legitimacy is not from our people. Their legitimacy is not for our people. And that's why our people should rise up and start holding them accountable. What are you people doing about the release of Nnamdi Kanu? How can you tell people to go to the court? Which court? Everybody knows. Everybody that is in tune, even with the basic legal knowledge, knows that the dominant paradigm is connected to the judicial interpretation. This is what is happening with Nnamdi Kanu. This is what is happening. How can a man that was abducted, tortured, and brought before a court, how can a court entertain entertain such a thing? How can a court sanction criminality? Even in the United States, yeah? How can a court sanction criminality?
Yeah.
How can a court sanction crime against humanity? Even the International Court of Justice, in the case of the Iranian hostage case, they said it explicitly that a torturer is an enemy of mankind. They said that a torturer is equivalent to the slave dealers before them, an enemy of mankind. How can those who tortured Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya to Nigeria be glamorized by the Supreme Court? Whereas they're supposed to be treated as the enemy of mankind. Even the government that sanctioned such absurdity should equally be treated as the enemy of mankind and refuse them from benefiting from their procedural flaws. But there are different tiers of justice. Different tiers of justice for the Igbos, different tiers of justice for the Yorubas, different tiers of justice for the Fulanis, which is in line with what Isabella Wilkinson described as case legal system. That's why when they destroy the properties of Igbos in Lagos, there will be no access to justice. Exactly. That is why the Fulanis can come to an Igbo and appropriate the land by force and change demographic composition without no consequence, without no legal consequence. Nobody is asking, even the politicians cannot ask, why is it that the law of general application in the acquisition of lands and property that is applicable to the Igbos all over Nigeria cannot be applicable to the Fulanis? Why is it that no state governor in an Igbo is questioning why the Fulanis can just jump into people's land and start making use of it without any exchange of values? This is the question we should be asking. But there's a law of general application. If an Igbo man go to Ogun State, he will buy a land there before he can use it. But a Fulani man will just jump into Igbo land and took over a land there and start using it. They don't add value, nothing. If the owners of the land want to resist, which is their right, to resist the violent takeover of their property, nobody, there will be no law enforcement to enforce their rights. So we find out that the violation of our rights starts from the top, from the superstructure to every segment of our life. There's no area of the life of an Igbo man, even if you are a millionaire or a billionaire, that is not being violated. Where can I start? How many of us have questioned the criteria to award the license to participate in critical sector of the economy? I mean, like refinery, cement manufacturing, and all of them. That is to show that they are violating our rights in everywhere. What are they telling us to? If they give Mr. B the license to build a refinery, we should be able to, the process should tell us the objective criteria that make them to give that license to Mr. B, so that we know whether an Igbo man will qualify to have the same license to build a refinery. Do you know the implication or to build a cement manufacturing company. The implication is that they are reducing the Igbos to become consumers of their products by denying us not to participate in the productive sector of the economy. So they're using us as objects to consume their products. That means we are slaves. In the slave plantation, they extracted our labor. In this present plantation, they're extracting now what? What are they extracting? They're extracting our cash flow to support their productivity. Why they're excluding us from participating in so critical sector of the economy. So by the convener, the thing is that the violation of our right from the top encompasses the violation of every aspect of our life. And as time goes on, even our rights to determine how we are going to live with our wives and children will be violated too, as slaves inside the slave plantation. Thank you.
I mean, it is so obvious. I mean, what baffles me the most is the apathy of our people and the apathy of the people who are supposed to represent. The people who are supposed to represent us, I even understand a little bit, because what they do, they take the worst of us and impose them on us, like the like of Hope Uzodinja, right? Hope Uzodinja was a criminal. Hope Uzodinja was on death row. Hope Uzodinja, how did he win an election? Either the first one or the second one. So they have all these politicians imposed on us, okay, who are the worst of us, the least qualified of us, the people that don't care about Igbo, and then use that to weaponize poverty. But this is where we come in as Igbo Global Network, and this is a rallying cry to all of you all over the world. By the way, our number is +1 202 787 8909. WhatsApp, you can call us on WhatsApp wherever you are around the world. This is Igbo Global Network. My name is Tony Mwisi. I'm the convener and the chairman of Igbo Global Network. I'm speaking with my brother and friend here, Bryce Daniekwe, who's our legal director. And today we're having our end of year broadcast, bringing our message to our people. So please feel free to call them +1 202 787 8909. We're streaming on all social media handles, Igbo Global Network on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. Okay, and then about 50 different WhatsApp groups. So we're discussing the future of our people and the way forward. So like I was saying, we understand the position of the politicians who are imposed. Someone who did not have the qualifications, someone who did not have the credibility, but are shooted in. And he does the beating of his master, just like you said, Willie Lynch Fury. Now, but our people in the Igbo who know that these men are not serving their interests become docile, become accepting it. And that's why we're saying we cannot accept this anymore. We invite all of you, come join Igbo Global Network. Ohaneze is no good to us. Ohaneze is compromised. The politicians are compromised. Ohaneze is compromised because that is why you have under wholesale abuse of our rights, like the barrister said. Ohaneze is saying, oh, they wrote a letter. Oh, they're appealing to Nigerians. Oh, Nigerians should judge. That is a lot of BS. Chief Iwanya will say, oh, we're appealing to Nigerians. Well, Nigerians should consider this. That is arrant nonsense. You don't beg for your rights. You don't plead for your rights. You don't grovel for your rights. You demand your rights. And the reason why Ohaneze is not demanding the rights of Ndibo is because they're compromised. It's because they've got their hands in the cookie jar. They are compromised. That's why their response is tepid. Both Ohaneze and our politicians, they have pursued personal interest instead of Igbo interest. Our people are being killed, are being slaughtered, our homes are being destroyed in Lagos, and they're saying, oh, I wrote to the governor. I went to visit the governor. That is BS. That is complete BS. And we're calling on our people, especially Igbo youth. Wake up. Wake up. Understand, Ohaneze and Igbo politicians, they are not serving your interest They are not protecting your interests. They are not there for us. They are there for their own selfish interests and to serve the interest of their slave masters in Abuja. And so the only way we can deal with this is by us mobilizing so that we become a force. And by becoming a force, we can now protest, occupy the politicians, and let them know that time is over. So it begins by joining Igbo Global Network. Our number is +1 202 787 and also by you speaking up, every man speaking up. Now, chains, I've said this before over and over again, chains on the feet of Nnamdi Kanu are chains on the feet of every Igbo man or woman. Chains on the hands of Nnamdi Kanu are chains on the hands of every Igbo man. It is a national embarrassment. It is a national embarrassment to us as in the Igbo that Nnamdi Kanu, who has committed no crime, Nnamdi Kanu, who even United Nations has said has committed no crime, was kidnapped, brought to Nigeria, imprisoned illegally, tortured, and gone through all of it, and then we kept quiet. It is shameful. It is an embarrassment. And the people who are keeping Nnamdi Kanu there are the evil politicians who are supposed to be representing the Igbo. And so we said to you today, it is time for all of you, my woko, my wine, my old and young. It is time for everybody to raise their voice and demand capital D, the release of Nnamdi Kanu. Nigerian government must produce evidence that Nnamdi Kanu has committed a crime. So far, for over nearly 3 years, Nnamdi Kanu has not been found guilty in any court of law of any offense. So why is he in detention? All of us have a sacred duty to speak for Nnamdi Kanu because he cannot speak for himself. And for those of you who do not rise up and speak for Nnamdi Kanu like we are today, what it tells me and what it should tell every Igbo man or woman is this. If it is Chinedu tomorrow, if it is Felicia tomorrow, if it is Obiora tomorrow, if it is Maduka tomorrow that is held down, arrested, kidnapped by this criminal Nigerian state, Ndi Igbo will not do anything for you. That's what it should tell you. That's what it means. Because injustice to Nnamdi Kanu is injustice to Okoro, to Chukwudi, to Nneka, Nnenna, and everybody else. It is time to hold the politicians accountable. It is time to demand Nnamdi Kanu's freedom. It is time to say enough is enough. Nnamdi Kanu must be free. It is time to demand for our inalienable rights. We have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we must demand it. I'll let you give your closing remarks because we're coming on to 1 hour now. And then and by the way, I've had a lot of comments here. Someone here wrote, the problem is Britain and the other third hands that are holding us via our so-called politicians. We must rise to stop them. Our future is in our hands. Iwanyawo is not working for Igbo. He's working for Nigeria. Somebody else says that Igbos must rise up now and speak up. Another comment here says, he says, thank you, Honorable Tony Wincy. I'm happy to know that, yes, we still have people like you and your team that are willing to go the extra mile in pursuit of the actualization of the struggle. Someone else says, women must rise up now and save their husbands, brothers, and sons in Igbo land. We did it in 1929. We can still do it again. Another comment says, Ohaneze is not representing the Igbos. They are taking instructions from Fulani. Igbo youths must rise and take their destinies in their own hands. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for the comments. Please share the broadcast to everybody. Someone says we must rise up now and save our husbands. Thank you, Barrister Niekwe, for making it clear that Nigeria is a slave plantation. Someone says Igbo properties scattered all over Nigeria because a good number of them work against the struggle. Are they not misinformed? What advice do you have for them? We need more voice. Another person says we need more voices to raise the consciousness of the Igbos. We need to wake them up from their slumber. And the last one says, thank you, Barrister Nekwe. You made it very clear. Nigeria is a slave plantation, So, Barrister Nekwe, I'll come back to you now to give you a closing remarks as we bring this broadcast to an end. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, Convener, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your leadership, exceptional leadership qualities, and the way you guided us today, and you marshaled the points that we should follow. Thank you. I thank God for giving us someone like you to lead this our noble organization, and for at least taking our time to think deep, to become disturbed about what is happening to our own people. It is not easy. It is worth commending. And I'm commending everyone, both those who are on the background, doing everything to make sure that this vision will continue to move forward. Especially all the exceptional women and men, boys, young ones, who are in different ways trying to contribute to their own. Only thing I want to emphasize more is this. I like the question that I see here, especially concerning Britain. But I want to reassure our people, to tell our people that we have the best tactics to tackle Britain. We should look around, but the only thing is that Britain can become very, very powerful when they cover us with false consciousness. That is, and stifle us from speaking about what they are doing. But immediately we speak out and we expose, we deconstruct them what they are doing, they will be embarrassed, and the whole world will be embarrassed. So this is the time now for us to move forward. This is the time for us now to contribute our own quotas towards the liberating of our people, towards the freeing of our people from this chronic slave plantation. It is not hate, yet it is not degrading to admit that we are a slave plantation. Thank you very much, Mr. Convener.
Thank you so very much, Barrister Nekwe. Thank you so very much. Ndebai Ekele Mono, we spent a lot of time here today. I hope you got something from today's broadcast. It's a real pleasure working with you. We invite you to engage with us. Our number is +1 202 787 8909. You can connect with us on our WhatsApp platforms, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. Again, our number is +1 202 787 8909. We're here. The vision of Igbo Global Network is an Igbo as Dubai of Africa, and our mission statement is promoting and defending Igbo interests. We are passionate about Igbo interests. We're not passionate about personal interest. We want to destroy the myth of personal interest. We're passionate about Igbo interest, the collective good of Igbo. That is the only way all of us can become successful. One man being successful, one man being imposed upon us and given all kinds of benefits is exactly what Barrister Nekwe called a slave plantation. And so I'm grateful for your time. I'm grateful for the time together. Come work with us, connect with us. We can't do this alone. Igbo Global Network is growing, yes, but we need more leaders. We need financiers. We need people who bring their brain power. The idea is to connect with Igbo globally so that together we can confront our politicians. And with the politicians, the ones like Alex Otti, who just came into office, this year, doing fantastic work already. So we're here to work with our politicians. We're here to work with those who want to serve Igbo, protect the interests of Igbo, the rights and liberties of Igbo. We will work with you. We're not anti-politicians necessary. We want only anti-politicians because they are not serving the interest of Igbo. As long as you pursue your personal interest and not Igbo interest, you're going to have an enemy in us. Excuse me. So we welcome you, governors, senators, commissioners. Come work with us, engage with us. And we will also bring our own ideas on how to improve our Igbo. But we must protect our civil liberties. Until we come your way again, it's a real pleasure being with you. I'm Tony Wisi, Barrister Nekwe, meeting with you today. Until we come your way again, thank you so much. And good night from our studios in Washington, D.C. Again, our number is +1 202 787 8909. Ndebe anyị, anyị kele unu. Ndewo.